Good afternoon. Happy Friday. This is Rachel, Pilates instructor and physical therapist here, bringing you guys a 45-minute flow style Pilates mat work class. You're going to want to have a mat or something comfortable to stand on. Bare feet or stocking feet are perfectly fine. And then when we are on hands and knees in a little while, you may want a little rolled up towel or some extra padding for your knees if they tend to get sensitive when you're in kneeling. Definitely make sure to move through at a pace that works for you. If I'm a little too quick or a little too slow, you're welcome to do a few fewer or a few extra repetitions, just depending on what works best for you. Remember that every day is a new adventure. I know we always remind ourselves of that, but I think it's a good idea to keep that in mind during any kind of exercise class. Please pace yourself. If something we're doing doesn't feel great in your body today, even if it felt good last time you tried, no shame in backing off, no problem in backing off. It's probably a good idea. I will try to offer a couple of different options, like a level 1, 2, and 3 modification for certain things, especially when we're on our backs. So please see if one of those works for you. If they don't, do your thing. Maybe that thing includes closing your eyes and just taking a few deep breaths before we move on to our next exercise. The nice thing about the flow is that we're never stuck with any one thing for any particular, long length of time. I'll stop talking now. Let's get up to our mats. I'll start my timer as we move up to our mat in our standing position. And let's go ahead and get our feet a little bit wider apart than our shoulders. I apologize for the echo today. My AirPods are on the fritz, so we're going for speaker today. I'll try to speak loudly and slowly so that we can still, hear each other. Let's sink our weight back toward our heels and soften up our knees just a touch. We're going to picture a string at the crown of the head pulling us tall toward the ceiling, and picture that same string dropping a plumb line down between your two heels. From here, we're going to shift our weight toward the big toe and then shift back toward the heels. Appreciate the fact that with those toes turned out to the side, we have a little bit smaller of a base of support than we will have when we do this again in another minute or so. We're going to shift our weight right back to those ankle joints again, right back to those heels. We're going to keep the belly and spine engaged and drawn toward each other as we do a few shoulder circles. We're going to just roll those shoulders up to the ears, back to the wall behind us, and then down to the floor. Let's repeat a few times. One more here. Drop those blades to the floor. Keep that core engaged as we breathe in, bringing our arms up and overhead. And exhale, bringing our arms out to the sides and down by the body. Again, big breath in, arms come up. We're going to clasp our palms overhead, press those hands to the ceiling, and drop our shoulders to the floor. Let's keep that core engaged as we take some nice tall side bends. Up and over to either side. Keep it going. Up and over. Let's take our arms right up to the ceiling. We're going to step our feet in until they're parallel to each other and just below those hips. Let's take our arms out to the sides. We're going to pause when our hands and shoulders are lined up with each other. And let's make some small circles with those fingertips. Reach them out away from the body. We're trying to picture some length between those collarbones and our breastbones. They're spreading out nice and wide away from each other. We'll circle the other way. Those arms might be getting a little tired, those upper shoulders. Circle for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stretch those fingertips away from each other, and we'll bring them down by our sides. We're going to keep that core engaged now. Take the heels of your hands right to the front of those hip bones, and let's touch our fingertips. We can kind of interlace them underneath our belly buttons. Those thumbs are pointed up right to our rib angles in front, and we're going to shift our weight toward our toes and toward our heels. As we shift forward and back, monitor what's going on in that midsection with your fingers and with the heels of the hands. Good. We should feel those muscles in the core turning on, turning off. Let's shift that weight right back to the ankles, and we'll now go side to side, pushing the floor away with those feet. As we take our weight side to side, let's move our fingertips to our waistline. Fingertips are in front, thumbs are in back. And we're going to again feel those core muscles turning on and off as we load our two legs a little bit differently from each other. Let's make some circles around that base of support, feeling what happens in that trunk as we continue to shift our weight side to side, forward and back. Pause and we'll switch directions. Keep that circle going. Feel what you feel underneath those fingertips, underneath those thumbs. We'll pause with our weight over the balls of the feet. We're going to hover those heels up off the floor. It'll be easier to maintain our balance there if we're shifted a bit farther forward over those toes. Feel the calves working a touch here. Maybe we challenge them a little more as we lean a little bit more forward, shifting the weight over those toes again. Come up a little higher. We're gonna hold here. Feel those calves working, little quad work, little core work here. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Keep the weight forward as we lower our heels down to the mat. We're gonna shift our weight right back over those ankles, shake out those knees a touch. Let's take our feet, we're gonna widen them up again. This time shoulder width apart, feet are facing forward. They're still parallel to each other now. We're gonna take our hands right to where those thighs fold into that pelvis, right to the front of the hip. Let's fold that trunk over our hands. We're tipping the body. Trunk is nice and straight. So that tailbone goes to the wall behind us. The crown of the head shoots forward to the wall in front of us, and that breastbone is facing the floor now. We're coming forward just to the point where we might feel a little stretch through the back of the thighs, and we might feel our glutes activating. Let's take our hands right to the sides of those glutes. We're gonna keep our shoulders slightly squeezed together, and we're gonna shift the weight again, side to side, pushing the floor away with our feet. We should feel our gluteal muscles kicking into our hand as we shift to one side, and we'll switch as we shift to the other. The glutes are working in almost a little bit of a stretched position here as they work to stabilize that hip. Let's take our body weight right back to the center. We'll come up tall, and now we're gonna be prepared for making our way down to our mat. We're gonna make a quarter turn so we're lengthwise along that mat. And let's back it up a bit toward the back edge. If you have a towel roll for your knees, now might be a good time to grab it and place it on the floor in front of you. We're gonna keep our knees nice and soft, feet shoulder width apart again. Hands come back to the fold in the hips, and we're gonna tip again forward to that first point of stretch or resistance behind those hamstrings. And from here, let's take our arms toward the floor. Squeeze those blades, row those elbows, tuck them back toward our trunk, and then we're gonna straighten those arms toward the floor. Squeeze, release. Keep that pattern going. Squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Here's 4. Row for 3, for 2. Hold that final row, elbows stay tucked by the sides. We're gonna straighten and bend our elbows, pressing through those triceps. Keep that belly drawn back toward the spine. Press, bend the elbows. Repeat, here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach those fingertips back to the wall behind. We're gonna squeeze those blades together one more time as we inhale. As we exhale, let's take our hands toward the floor, bend the knees as much as we need to get comfortably down to all fours. Let's keep the balls of the feet pressed into the mat as we take our knees down to the floor, maybe on top of that rolled towel or extra padding. From here, we're gonna curl through cat and reverse to cow. Let's try 2 or 3 more of these. Move at a pace that's working for you. It's perfectly fine to take yourself toward end range if you feel like you need that little stretch. It's also perfectly fine to stay through the middle range if you feel like you're just oiling a squeaky wheel here. We're gonna come back to neutral and wag our tail side to side. Take a hip toward the shoulder and then the opposite hip to the other shoulder. Take them side to side. We'll bring that body right back to neutral, keeping the balls of the feet, those big toes pressed into the floor. Let's gently rock the bottom back toward the heels. Load those toes a little bit, as much as is comfortable. You may get a little calf stretch, you might get a little ball of the foot stretch, little plantar fascia stretch. Take a big breath here, and then we'll exhale back up to all fours. Hold that there as we flip the tops of the feet down toward the floor. Bring those toes together, and let's take our knees back behind each edge of the mat. And we're gonna drop the bottom down toward the heels. Hold it there and slide those hands forward. If you need to bend your elbows to put a little slack back in under the arms, that's okay. Drop your forehead toward the floor. I want you to feel a nice stretch from shoulder blade, underarm down toward the side of the rib cage. We might feel that lengthening, extending through the armpits, extending to those elbows, maybe even to the wrists. If you feel anything uncomfortable again, I want you to bend your elbows. We'll hold here, big breath in. Breathe it out. Everybody drop those forearms down. We're going to shift our weight over them. Upper arms are vertical. We're going to lengthen the legs back behind the body, lowering those thighs down to the floor till we're resting just above those kneecaps. We're going to hold here with that core engaged. Pull the belly gently toward the spine, and let's squeeze our shoulder blades back and together behind the body. And then we'll reverse that, press them forward toward the floor. Squeeze and press. Let's repeat here at a pace that's working for you. Our gaze is right somewhere between our fingertips and the very front of our mat. Squeeze and press. We're gonna hold those shoulder blades pressed forward. Shift the weight toward the screen and away. If you do need more support, we could be down with those hips resting on the floor as we take our body side to side. Let's come right back through the middle. Take one more big breath in here. As we exhale, we're going to turn ourselves toward the screen, tuck that arm underneath, and let's roll to our backs. We'll bend our knees up, line the heels and the sit bones up with each other. Knees are a few inches away from each other. And with those arms resting by our sides, let's nod the chin toward the neck, draw that belly down. And we're going to curl through our pelvic clock positions. Pubic bone to breastbone, 12 o'clock. Reverse, lengthen the other way. Pubic bone down toward that tailbone, toward those heels. Curl to 12. Release and reverse to 6. Curl to 12. Release and reverse to 6. Take that pelvis right back to neutral, and then keeping those thighs as still as we can. We're going to roll that pelvis toward the screen. Opposite hip comes up in the air, and then switch it up. We're going to roll the pelvis to that opposite wall. Let's switch back and forth, 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, keeping those shoulders down on the floor, collarbones wide and away from the middle of the body, and that upper body still as we can keep it. We're going to roll that pelvis away from our screen, take it back to neutral, breathing in, and on that exhale, we'll float those arms up to the ceiling. Keeping that chin nod and that belly drawn in, we're going to reach our shoulder blades forward, fingertips coming up toward our light fixtures. As we exhale, we'll lower those legs back to a comfortable resting position on that mat. Reach them up, inhale, exhale, lower them down. Reach those elbows up, fingertips up, lower the blades. One more time, we'll reach those blades up, lower them back down. Belly stays drawn toward the spine as we bring one knee up to 90 degrees. Keep that core engaged. We could take it a little closer to the shoulder for a little more support. We could take that foot a little closer to the wall, opening that hip up a bit for a little more abdominal challenge. Wherever that first leg is, let's see if we can bring our other leg up to meet it. Shins are parallel. We could balance something on them right now. And let's take the hands to the front of our thighs. Gently build pressure from the hands to the thighs and from the thighs back to the hands, at which point you're going to feel that core activate a little further. We're going to maintain our chin nod as we straighten those legs to that first point of resistance. We're going to arc our arms forward, and they're going to come to a hover several inches up off the floor. Decide if this is working for you. If you need to bend the knees, if you need to take a foot down for a kickstand, you're welcome to do so. We're going to pat our hands up and down like we're bouncing little tiny basketballs. We'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. With this exercise, it's 100 breaths. The goal is to bring oxygen to the body, to warm up those muscles, and also to get things a little tired out through that midsection. Inhale, breathe it out. Feel free to go a little quicker or a little slower than I am, whatever's working best for you. If those legs are straight, I want you to lower one down toward a hovered position. Try that out. Good. Inhale that leg up to the top. Exhale, switch. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe it out. Inhale that leg back up toward the ceiling. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause where you are. We're going to pull our knees toward tabletop. Knees toward the shoulders or away toward the wall if you want to make it a little more or less challenging. Flip the palms to face the ceiling again. And we're going to take the backs of our hands and rest them on the mat. Let's draw those knees a few inches closer to the chest, letting us flatten our back just a touch toward that spine, toward that mat rather. And we're going to roll our knees toward the screen and away. Getting a little bit of rotational control through that trunk. If the backs of the hands are pressed into the floor, we're taking out the tendency to hunch our shoulders forward. It might limit our range of rotation, but that's okay. Rotate for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take those legs back to tabletop. We'll pull the knee farthest from the screen into the chest. And let's lengthen that close leg all the way down along the mat. Pull that knee toward the chest. And we're going to rock that knee to our screen, lifting up the hip on that bent knee slide, releasing tension in the low back. Pull that leg back to the middle, give it a hug, big breath in. Exhale, belly to spine. Hover that straight leg up off the floor. We're going to keep our mid back and that belly drawn down toward the floor, toward the spine. And let's take our straight leg toward the screen and back to midline. Toward the screen, back to midline. You're welcome to have your hand on that hip. If you want to monitor, make sure everything's staying nice and still. Pause. We're going to circle that leg on the wall in front of us. Reach those toes forward. Keep that quad nice and active. Pause, breathing in and exhaling. We'll circle the opposite way. Keep those shoulders resting away from the ears. Here's 2, 1. Let's lower that leg to the mat. Breathe in again. As we exhale, we keep that core tight. We're going to switch our legs. Pull that leg we just worked into the center. We'll lengthen our opposite leg first all the way down to the mat so we can grab that opposite knee. We'll wiggle that knee across the body, letting that cheek come up off the floor. Wiggling into that low back comfortably. Let's pull that knee back to the middle. Give the leg a hug, keep the core engaged, and we're gonna hover our straight leg up off the mat. Let's keep the hand either on that bent knee as well, or the hand can be right at that pelvis, monitoring stability as we take our straight leg side to side. There's 4. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Let's move through some circles. Reach those toes forward. Pause, breathe it in. Exhaling, let's circle the other direction. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower that leg to the mat. Hold it there as we keep our core engaged. We're going to take that bent knee and draw it back up to our 90-degree position. Let's place our hands, both hands, right at the front of that thigh, just above that kneecap. We're going to hold ourselves nice and still there. Hover that supporting leg up off the floor. Hold. Inhale, lift that leg toward the ceiling. And exhale, lengthen it back down toward the mat. Inhale and lift. Try to lift that leg as straight as you can up to the point where the wall and ceiling meet. If you need to take pressure off, you can bend it. Last time, lift. Stretch the leg forward. We're going to pull that knee we just worked right up into line with the other one. Press at the front of the thigh. Lengthen that opposite leg forward to our hover. We'll inhale that leg toward the ceiling. Exhale toward the mat. Inhale toward the ceiling. Exhale and lower. We have 2 more here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. 1 final time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. We're going to take that moving leg all the way to the mat. Pull the other knee into the chest and grab behind that thigh. Let's roll our shoulders back and down here while we take a couple deep breaths. Drop those blades. Straighten that leg up toward the ceiling. Find that resistance point and then bend it up again. Straighten and bend. Wiggle through all that connective tissue through the back of the leg, back of the thigh, and then we'll straighten. Let's flex and point our toes. Tensing at that very, very bottom end of that leg. Point the toes to the ceiling. We'll wiggle our ankles side to side. Feel the differentiating the tension between the outer leg and the inner. We'll point our toes to the ceiling and take our hands back down to the mat. Keep that core engaged. Maybe we hover the supporting leg up off the mat and our lifted leg goes side to side, away from that screen and toward it. Good. Keep breathing. One more time, side to side. Again, bend that knee if you need to take pressure off. Circle the ceiling. Here's 4, 3, 2. Pause at the top, inhale. Breathing out, take it the other way. Circle for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's pull that knee in. Give that knee a hug into the chest and we'll switch them up. Slide that opposite leg all the way down. Grab on behind the thigh and we'll straighten the knee, bend it up. Again, straighten and bend. Twice more. Straighten 1 final time, hold that knee there as we flex and point our foot. Tensing all the way down to that lower leg. Point the toes, wiggle that ankle side to side, getting that different stretch as we move our ankle. Point the toes to the ceiling. We're gonna hover that supporting leg up off the mat, take those hands to the floor. Let's take our lifted leg side to side. Here's 4, and 3, 2, 1. We're gonna circle. Here's 3. Here's 2. Pause at the top, breathe it in. And the exhale, we'll take it the other way. Circle for 4, For 3, do your best to keep that belly drawn down toward the floor. Here's 2. Pause at the top, hang on behind that thigh. We're gonna roll those shoulders back and down, nodding the chin. Let's keep that belly scooped down and that back curled slightly toward 12 o'clock, a little flat back position here. We're gonna switch our legs, lift up, switch that grip, lower the opposite leg to the hover. Lift and switch. Keep that going. If you want to start moving the other leg down as we lift one leg up, you're welcome to kind of let them cross midstream there. We'll switch for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Let's give both those knees a hug into the chest. Pull them in nice and tight. Rock that body side to side. Big breath in, big breath out. Let's take that body right back to the middle. Roll those shoulders back and down. We'll bring those knees back to tabletop. We'll float our arms to the ceiling. Let's move in opposites. We're going to take the arm closest to the screen back overhead, and we're going to slide that other leg forward. Let's switch through at a pace that works for you. Reach the hand and the foot as far away from each other as you can get them. Switch them off. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring those knees to tabletop, arms to the ceiling, hold them right there. Drop the blades down, flex those feet. We're gonna alternate our heels, lower and lift. Lower and lift. Keep it going. Keep it going. Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to tabletop, arms to the floor. Bring those hands out a little bit further away from the body. Pull those knees a little closer to the chest, and with the belly drawn down, we'll rock side to side. Big breath in and big breath out. Good. Take them right back to the middle. We're going to float those arms to the ceiling again. Take an inhale. Belly to spine on the exhale. Let's see if we can lower both heels. Inhale and back up. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. Adding on, you can take those arms back. We can go back to single leg lowering and lifts if that works better for you. Most important thing is we keep that core engaged, everything else nice and still. Here's 4. Here's 3. Good job, final 2. And 1. Lift those legs up, pull them into the chest, and we'll rock that body side to side. Taking them to the middle, we're gonna lower our heels and our toes down to the floor. Line the heels up with those sit bones, and the hands come down to our sides in preparation for bridging. We're gonna inch those heels a bit closer to our rear ends. Draw the belly down, take a big breath in. Breathing out, press through those heels, lift those glutes up. We're trying to stretch those knees forward and make a straight diagonal line from the knees to the hips to the shoulders. Hold for a breath. We'll exhale and lengthen down, releasing the glutes at the bottom. Repeat through at your own pace. If we can drive that pressure through the heels versus through the toes, we're less likely to get cramps in the hamstrings, more likely to emphasize glutes versus hamstring or inner thigh activation. Good, we're gonna hold that next set of bridges up at the top. Press those hips to the ceiling. Keep them lifted as we go up and down the toes. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Heels come down, pulse those hips to the ceiling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big breath in, exhale, lengthen down. Release those glutes at the bottom. Rock those knees side to side. Here's 4, and 3, 2, last 1. Take those knees to the center. Inhale again. Reset those feet if you need to bring them a little closer. Breathing out, press to bridge. We're going to keep those hips lifted and take that knee closest to the screen, out to the side and back to the center. And then the opposite knee out and in. Let's rock side to side. Keep those hips as still as you can. Keep that pelvis as still as you can as we alternate our legs. There's 4, Here's 3, 2, and 1. Breathe it in, hands to the floor. Exhale, bridge down. Release at the bottom. Give those knees a quick hug into the chest. We'll take a big breath in. Exhale, belly to the spine. Let's place those feet on the floor, arms are down. We'll breathe in one more time, and exhaling, we're gonna come up for the final set in our series. We're gonna march. Keep those hips still as we can as we lift one knee up and down. Switching to the other. Our goal here is to keep those hip bones pointed like headlights right up to the ceiling. Glutes and core are working together to keep us from letting that pelvis rotate. Here's 4, 3, final 2, and 1. Let's press those feet into the floor. Take a breath in. Exhale, bridging down. Release at the bottom. We're going to curl from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock through that pelvis. Take it back to neutral. Rock from 3 to 9. Taking it back to neutral. We're going to cross that ankle closest to the screen over to the opposite knee. We're going to pull into the chest. Hold it there as we rock side to side. Coming back to the center, we'll take it down, switch it up, and pull up to figure 4. Rock the body away from that cross-legged side. Feel those hips open up. Take them back to the middle. We're gonna unwind, give the knees one more hug. Let's take our feet to the floor. The heels of the hands come right back toward our sit bones, and our fingers are getting interlaced just below that belly button. Rest your elbows on the mat, keep that core engaged. We're gonna walk our feet out, getting those knees as straight as we can, maintaining that stable pelvis. If they're not all the way straight, that's okay. We'll bend them up as much as we need to get those feet flat on the floor then. Otherwise, those legs are straight, heels are touching. Let's keep our toes pointed if we can. Tighten up those quads. We're gonna lift one foot up toward the ceiling and back down, and then the other. Assess the difficulty level with this. If it's too much on your back or your pelvis to keep those legs straight and lift, go back to a march with those knees bent. We're gonna lift those legs 8 to 10 inches up off the floor. Alternate through. Here's 4, 3, last 2, and 1. Let's take those arms to the ceiling. Inhale them back and overhead. Reach your fingers away from those toes. Breathing out, we're gonna flip our palms to the ceiling. Inhaling again, we're gonna take our arms out on a T. They might be on the floor, they might be hovered just slightly above them. Let's take those arms down by our sides. We'll bend up our knees, and then let's get ready to turn over to hands and knees. All right, get that padding again for your knees if you feel like you want it or need it. Once we're up on all fours, we've got 2 cats and 2 cows to curl and reverse through. Good. Take that body to neutral, wag that tail twice to each side. Coming right back to the middle, let's tap our shoulders. Take one hand to the opposite shoulder. Feel the core working on your weight-bearing side, the side where the hand is down. And then switch them up, opposite hand to the shoulder. Alternate through here. Keep that core engaged. If you're not feeling very challenged by this, let's walk ourselves forward, opening up those hips toward a plank on the knees. And if you did want to take it further, turn those toes under, move up to plank. Alternate, switch those hands for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hands are down, knees come right back down underneath those hips, and let's squeeze and press our shoulder blades. Squeeze and press, just like we did on our forearms earlier. Squeeze and press. If we want to make this one harder, we could come back into plank or plank on the knees. Again, we squeeze and press. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up to plank, everybody. Send that tailbone toward the ceiling. Keep that core engaged. We're going to drop our heels down. Bend the knees if you need to. Walk those feet out. We'll lift one heel, lowering the other. Reverse it. Switch for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop both heels for a big breath. Exhaling, we'll come forward to plank, taking our knees back to the mat. Keep that core engaged. We're going to shake out our wrists just a touch. Give them a little bit of a chance to breathe and reset. Starting on all fours, we're going to take one leg back behind the body and reach the opposite arm forward. Switch. Picture balancing something valuable right in the small of your back. We don't want to let it drop. Switch it up again. One more to each side. And last one. Keep that leg where it is. We're going to switch our arms. Switch for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Take that hand down. Take the knee down. Switch that opposite leg comes back. Take the opposite arm forward. Shift and switch the hands. Maybe we just come up under the fingertips. That's okay. Switch for 3. Switch for 2. Switch for 1. Hands come down, knees come down, curl to cat, and reverse to cow. Coming right back to neutral, we'll take our forearms down to the mat. Let's work into those glutes a little bit more. We're going to take that leg closest to the screen, keep the knee bent, take it up and down for 8, for 7, 6, 5. Try to keep that back nice and still. Here's 4, 3, 2. Hold it up there. Thighs stay still. Straighten and bend for hamstring curls. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flex the foot, pulse to the ceiling. Last 8 on this side. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that knee down. Keep that core engaged or reset it. And we'll shift to our other side. We'll press that bent knee up, float it back down. Press and lower. Keep it going. Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Thigh stay still. Straighten and bend the knee for 8, 7, 6, 5. Here's 4, 3, last 2, 1. Flex that foot, pulse to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Float that knee down, feet together, knees apart. Let's rock that bottom back toward the heels, and we'll stretch our arms forward, drop that forehead, bring the arms out to either of the side edges of your mat, and drop those shoulder blades towards your hips. Big breath in. As we exhale, walk the hands toward the screen. We'll pause hand over hand. Again, bending the elbows as much as you need to. Breathe in, feel that opposite side of the rib cage open up. Exhale, let's walk them the other way. Again, pause hand over hand. Take a big breath into that opposite side of the trunk. Breathing out, walk those hands forward. We're going to take ourselves up, come to a long sitting position on that mat. Legs are going to be in front of us. We're going to get our weights situated up on those sit bones, just in front of them. We're going to bend our knees, keep the heels on the floor, and angle that body back just a touch. I'm going to come a little closer to the center of my mat. We're going to push our hands to the outsides of the thighs, press the hands and thighs into each other, and we'll open the arm closest to the screen. Feel the opposite side of the obliques start working, opposite side of the trunk. Inhale back to the knee, exhale and switch. Inhale to center, exhale and switch. Inhale to center, exhale and switch. Let's alternate through. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Grab onto those knees. We'll pull ourselves up nice and tall. Walk the heels in a little closer. Place the whole foot on the floor, and we'll take our hands back behind the body. As always, to keep your wrists happy, we can either point the fingertips toward the feet or out to the sides, depending on how much backward bending your wrists are comfortable with. Straighten the elbows, squeeze those blades together. And if we have some more slack to take up, we can inch that body forward just a touch, bottom coming toward the heels. Let's send our breastbone up to where the wall and ceiling meet, opening up the chest, stretching through the front of those arms. Again, if you have a little more slack to take out of the system, we can lift up into reverse tabletop. Hold, big breath wherever we are. Exhale. One more time, big breath in. Exhaling, we'll take our hips right back down to that mat. Shake out those wrists. And we're gonna turn and kneeling to face our screen. So again, if you wanna grab more padding, you're welcome to go do that now. We'll line ourselves up, knees directly under those hips. We're curling that pelvis slightly toward 12 o'clock here. And we're gonna take our hands down by our sides. Flip the palms toward the screen, squeeze those blades, and we're gonna pulse the pinkies back and toward each other for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, out to the sides, down by our waistline, and we're gonna extend one leg out from the body. It can either be in line with your other leg or slightly forward if you tend to cramp in your hip. We're gonna drop into a squared off position, drop into a position where you feel that inner thigh working or stretching. We're gonna hinge that trunk forward. Back stays straight, move from the hips, come up nice and tall. Again, hinge. Take it up. One more time, hinge. And take it up. Keep that core engaged as we breathe our arms up to shoulder height. And let's side bend toward our bent knee, lifting that opposite leg up. Lift up tall, side bend toward the opposite leg. Twice more here, side bend reach. And up and over. Side bend reach. We're gonna pause here. Pulse that leg to the ceiling. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll come up nice and tall. Side bend one more time toward that opposite leg. Hands come right back to the hips and let's switch it up. Take that opposite leg out. Again, lined up with the front knee or slightly in front of it. Lower that hip. Lengthen out that inner thigh. Big breath in. Exhaling, we'll hinge forward. Inhale up tall. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale up tall. One more time, exhaling forward. Inhale, hinge up. Arms come out to the side, big breath in and side bend toward that bent leg. Inhale up and exhale the other direction. Inhale up, exhale and side bend. Inhale up, exhale, side bend. Inhale up, exhale, side bend. We're gonna hold, pulse that leg. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's come up nice and tall. Side bend toward that straight leg one more time. Bring that body up. We'll take our legs back to that tall kneel. Give those shoulders a couple more rolls back. And then let's make our way down onto one side. We'll keep those knees bent. We're gonna rest on our bottom arm. For the whole series we're doing on our sides, we wanna try to keep our waistline lifted and that core engaged. Top hand comes to the floor here. We're gonna go through 4 in each series. Again, you can do a few more or a few less, few fewer, if you feel you need to adjust your pattern a bit. Knees come up and down. Push that top hand into the floor for a little feedback, counter rotation. Lift and lower, bottom knee stays still, clamshell, lift that top leg up and down. 3, 2, 1, bring those knees down, lift the feet for 4, 3, 2, hold them up there, top knee. 3, 2, 1, straighten and bend the top knee for 4, 3, 2, 1, straighten and bend the bottom leg. Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep those toes together, waistline lifted. Both feet come down. Lift them up. Maintain that open clamshell. Good. Twice more. Last one. Knees come down, feet come down. Fire hydrant lift. Top leg up and down. 3, 2, 1, back to hip height, straighten the top leg, straighten the bottom leg out. Top hand presses into the floor, we'll swing it forward and back. Here's 4. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Toes come down behind, arc them up and forward. Down and back, down and front. Twice more each. Last one, back. Forward, back up to hip height, pulse to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bottom leg up and down. Last 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Everything comes down. Bend those knees. catch your hip out. Let's take it up and over. All right, we're gonna rest on that bottom arm. Knees are forward. Lift that waistline, keep that core engaged. Press that top hand into the floor. Lift and lower for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down, top knee lifts. 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down, lift those feet. 3, 2. Hold them up there, top knee. 3, 2. Hold that top knee up, straighten and bend that top leg. 3, 2, 1. Touch those toes, straighten the bottom leg. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Toes touch, hold it there. Feet come down together. Lift those feet. Knees stay still. Here's 2. And 1 with those feet. Knees come down and feet come down. Fire hydrants. 3, 2, 1. Back to hip height. Straighten the top leg and straighten the bottom leg. Top leg. Swing it forward and back. There's 4. Here's 3, 2, 1. Touch the toes down and behind. Up and forward. Back and forth. Last 2. Last 1. Lift that leg back up to hip height. Pulse it up and down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bottom leg up and down. Last 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that leg down. Bend up those knees. That hip out. Let's take that body and roll to our backs. We're gonna pull those knees into the chest, give them a nice little hug. And let's rock that body side to side. Big breaths in, big breaths out. Coming right to the middle, we'll bring our feet down, cross an ankle over to the other knee, pull up into that figure 4 if you can, and let's rock away from the center, away from that cross leg side. Breathe in, feel that muscle stretching out a little. Exhale to the center, switch it up, cross it over, pull them up. Rock toward that screen, away from that cross leg. Big breath in. Exhale, center. Give those knees one final hug before taking the feet to the floor. We're gonna turn ourselves over to hands and knees one more time. Curl through 2 cats, reversing to 2 cows. Take that body to neutral. Let's make our way back to our feet. And once our weight's over those ankle joints, we can stand up nice and tall. Shake those legs out. Good job. Let's line ourselves up in the middle of the mat. Feet are hip width apart. We're gonna lift our toes. Feel those arches come up. Spread those toes apart. Press them down one at a time. Pinky first, pressing that big toe into the mat. We're gonna shift our weight toward our screen, hovering the heels up just a touch off the floor. Hover them up a little higher. Maybe a little higher. Hold for 3, for 2, for 1. Keep the weight over those toes, unlike what I just did. Hold it up there. Fight for it. I'm really fighting to keep those heels lifted. Keep the weight forward as we slowly lower those heels down. Once the heels touch the floor, we can shift back over those ankles, shake out those knees. Find something to hold on to for this next one if you need it. We're going to stand heel to toe. Find your balance point. Try to keep those big toes down, and we'll turn our head looking side to side. Come to the center. Shift the weight back, rise up onto a single leg. We're going to hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Step that leg down, switch it up. Opposite foot comes in front. Find that balance point. Hang on if you need to, and we'll turn our head. Let's look forward. Shift the weight back. Find that single leg balance on the other leg. Hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, let's take those feet down a little wider apart than our shoulders. Shake out those knees. Pause the legs, bending up the knees just a touch. We'll roll those shoulders back and down. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's close with a big breath in, palms together. We'll bring our feet together as we reach and look up. Let's take our hands to the center. Well, we did it, guys. Friday afternoon, you should feel good about all the work you just did. And I'm always appreciative that you all are here.